So to start off, we're going to talk about how this problem develops, specifically through the lens of those of us who have early relational wounding that lead us susceptible to having a lot of toxic shame. So we start out as children cleanly expressing our needs. This is something that comes natural to all of us when we are very young. Our only possible chance at survival when we are babies is expressing our needs to our caregivers and hoping that they are both competent enough and compassionate enough to respond to them sensitively. Unfortunately, what often happens if you have CPTSD or other forms of early developmental wounding is that instead of getting that sensitive, attuned response when you express a need, you get a misattuned response. So what this means is that you are trying to express something you need, and your caregiver is either not understanding what you need, so they are giving you the wrong response, or they are ignoring or rejecting your need, particularly if your needs are emotional and your caregiver has some sort of shame around responding to emotional needs that they have internalized. Hence, when you express them, they're unable to respond sensitively. What this can also lead to, and this is something we've talked about at length in other videos, which I will link in the description of this one, is having your emotions become shame-bound. So now, whenever you start feeling whatever emotion it is that your caregiver generally responds negatively to, you start to process that both in your mind and your automatic body as this emotion is wrong. I ought not to express it, but I also ought not feel it. So let's say every time you experience distress and you show it to your caregiver, they tell you you're being pathetic or you need to suck it up or something of the like, you might start to believe, okay, that feeling is just crazy and irrational. It does not have a basis in reality. Ergo, in order to make sure it doesn't get in the way in other areas of my life, my best possible shot is learning to repress this need. And if it makes it into my conscious awareness, to remind myself, this is crazy and irrational, and I ought not to express it. Now, this leads to two problems. One is that you get really good at emotional inhibition. So anytime you're experiencing a strong feeling that once led to rejection by the people closest to you, you learn to keep that feeling inside and not say it to the people around you. So you may have learned not to express anger and sadness, but you may also have learned not to express too much joy or too much attraction or too much excitement, because maybe those things, as well as the more stereotypical negative emotions, are the ones that you got shamed for at some point in your life. So now you're walking around with all of these feelings that are providing you with real, important pieces of information, but you've learned to tell yourself these feelings are crazy, and I need to make sure that nobody else is aware that I have them, lest I get rejected again. But also, you may have developed a specific type of paranoia that I've noticed is very common among people with complex PTSD, which is the feeling that other people can kind of read your mind and tell what you are feeling anytime you're feeling something super strongly. Now, this is not a paranoid delusion, right? So it's not that you necessarily truly believe people can read your mind, but it's more this feeling of almost feeling naked anytime a really strong feeling arises for you. And having this fear like, oh my God, other people can tell that I'm feeling this thing. And the reason you feel this paranoia and this intense desire to make sure that your feelings are kept clamped down where no one can see or hear them is because in your early life, you likely had a larger than average cost of mistake when it came to expressing feelings that would dysregulate your caregivers. So if every time you showed even a little bit of anger, you would get met with a really extreme response from a caregiver, you're gonna now be extremely hypervigilant about monitoring your own thinking and your own feeling for any sign of anger. And you're gonna be working overtime to make sure that you're not expressing it at all. As opposed to, let's say, someone who is raised in a more secure environment, who doesn't have significant shame binds around their emotions. They're gonna feel anger and maybe have a little bit of a conscious process around, how do I express this healthily? How do I not let it get in the way in some major way in my relationship? But there's not going to be this overwhelming fear that letting even a little bit of it leak out is going to lead to an extreme response.